Hello, my name is Tony Pagliocco. I'm running for National President of Omega Delta Phi. This is episode 5 in our web series where we use these videos to talk about issues that are facing the fraternity. I talk about my campaign platform, and in the last couple of videos I've been answering a lot of questions directly from brothers. Today's video, I usually shoot these on Monday, and I had a situation that I was reading about yesterday, and I sort of felt compelled to expand on it a little and at least give my perspective to it because it's actually a real issue that's challenging our fraternity right now. So yesterday in the Hype Facebook group, Brother Nick Hernandez asks about any other chapters that were told that they couldn't begin the process until Nationals reviews paperwork from last semester. They're not being allowed to pledge a line this semester. Nick expresses his frustration that, getting a heads up or communication would have been nice since his chapter already spent money on Russian flyers. And, he has to turn paperwork into the school, and he doesn't want to have, his chapter paying fines because someone isn't communicating properly. So, of course, this spun up a whole bunch of comments, and some of the other comments that I was reading on this, and I'm looking at the Facebook page directly while I'm talking about it. Brother Zachary Bills talks about how Nationals contacted the RD, and the RD has to use a third party to contact chapters. And then, Brother Alan Goodell talks about, why they're just giving this information today, and, as they're supposed to start the process. What are there some other interesting ones here? Brother Zachary Bills, again, doesn't even know who his RD is. He doesn't know if it's Jesse or Oscar. And then, what other ones are here? So then it goes on a little bit, and they are going back and forth, and Brother Giovanni and Brother Latif both sort of hopped in and sort of to help mitigate the issue a little bit. And then as the rest of the conversation goes on, people are talking about how, why wasn't this a focus at regional conference? People were blindsided with this info. Brother Clint Beauchamp comes in and says that he wouldn't stop the process, just keep going and clean it up later. It's too time sensitive. Brother Adrian Galvez says, just do the process, let them catch up to you. When you do anything, just act as if you don't have a nationals and you have a lot less stress. So this generated a lot of conversation. It made me think a little bit about, some of the issues at hand that I've talked about in my campaign, things that we need to address. The one glaring issue I see here is communication. And that's been a very, very strong issue in my platform, is that we need to have nationals communicating better. We are not so big that we need to have 3 layers of management going through issues and having to go through nationals to the RD, to the assistant RD. And while I think it's great that we have so many people volunteering to help with that, that's just too many layers of management to have when we need to have issues handled in a timely manner. If this paperwork had to get turned in last semester, and it got turned in last semester and didn't get reviewed even up until, maybe yesterday or so, I'm not exactly sure on the date, I'm just sort of speculating based off the thread, there's a bigger issue there. That means that process is not going the way that it should. It means that there's no accountability for what people's responsibilities are in some cases. It means that even our own brothers don't know who they're supposed to be reporting to or who they're supposed to get in contact with. Now, I'll applaud Brother Giovanni and Brother Latif for both jumping in and mitigating the situation. The one thing I find interesting about it, though, is that you have someone who is on the National Exec Board, and but is not in that capacity. Yet he's the one who has to jump in and mitigate because the rest of the board isn't got their finger on the pulse of what's going on. To me, that shows some signs of inconsistency, which troubles me because it means that the more we handle situations like this, the more we're mitigating problems and not just handling them ahead of time before they become a problem. we end up doing two things. We back ourselves into a corner where now we have to move quickly and figure out how to handle the situation with the least amount of churn. And then the second thing that we do is that we hurt the reputation of our national board. We end up getting the reputation that Nationals doesn't care, Nationals doesn't communicate, Nationals is does this, that, or the other. Now, this could just be one circumstance, one fluke, and that might be the case. I'm not going to say that this is a constant issue, because I don't know it to be a constant issue, and so I'm not going to speak to it just for the sake of my campaign or anything. What I am going to say, though, is that in this case, this was an issue that needed immediate attention, and it should have been handled before the semester, before these brothers got their, started to turn their paperwork in to pledge lines, and that could have been solved with very simple, very clear communication. We don't have that many business processes going on at the national. We don't have that many things going on at once where we couldn't have gotten this done in a timely manner. And to not even be able to communicate in a timely fashion to tell them, at least if that was the situation, maybe telling them how they could resolve it, or maybe helping them resolve it instead of just dictating from above, you can't do this. That's not the way you solve issues. The way you solve issues is by saying, look, you're in this situation. We need you to be in this other situation. How can we help you get there? Whether it's with dues, or whether it's paperwork, or whether it's reports that aren't submitted. I think that's a great way to I don't want to say the word roughen, because that's not a word, but to make the relationship between nationals and the chapters more terse, more unfriendly, more uncomfortable. And that's something that is a problem. And that is something that I've said time and time again, that communication needs to be better. We need to be more visible about what we're doing as a national executive board. We need to be more communicating more with the chapters on a one-on-one basis, face-to-face basis, Skype, in person, whatever. We need to be able to have that open dialogue where the chapters feel that they can come to nationals and get responses in a timely fashion. It may not be what they want to hear every time, but we're going to give that respect to the chapters, that we will not make you wait. We will not make you have to, kick and scream to be able to get something done. That is what the point of the national board is to be able to do that. And so I really feel that this was a good, healthy discussion. In looking over and all the stuff that went, I think that Brother Giovanni and Brother Latif definitely deserve a thank you for getting this, situated, and getting the VP of Undergrad Affairs to get in touch with them directly right away. It doesn't solve the bigger problem at hand, but it got this one by, and that's definitely a good thing. So with that being said, I just would like to stress that as we go into this campaign, we go into this election, communication is an important part. This is why I do these videos. This is why we have the Google Hangouts. This is why we have the Skype calls, is because I want to be accessible to the brothers at any point, any time, if they need something. That's why, and that's really the reason why anyone runs for the national board. It's because we want to give back to our brothers, but we need to start looking at this more from a business perspective. We need to have some cleaner processes. We need to start trimming the fat on some of the excess management. We need to start having more clear and achievable goals that can be handled by the people that are responsible for them, and filter those down to the chapter level, so that way we can all benefit. We grow as a brotherhood, we grow as a national organization, the chapters are healthy, the chapters are strong, the morale is high. That's where we want to be as an organization. So this video is a little bit different than others. I mean, it's I'm just sort of, going over a situation, but I'm trying to show an example that there are issues that we cannot ignore, and the more we ignore them, the more we're going to hurt our relationship between the nationals and chapters, and we're going to be hurting the growth of our brotherhood as a whole. So take that for what it's worth. Think it over. If you agree with me, great. If you don't agree with me, you know what? Not everyone's going to agree with what I have to say. But that's the part of our brotherhood that I love, that I can be open, I can be honest, as all of you can be too. The only difference is that you can contact me directly if you have a question or want to talk about a situation, and that doesn't seem to be the case for some of the exec board right now. So With that being said, we will have another video out next week. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and thank you for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can go to my website, tonyp2015.com. And yeah, thank you very much. Have a great night.